Radyo-Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Radyo, 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 katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. The voice of the Blue Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng pera. Radyo, radyo, katipunan. Radyo, radyo, katipunan. Radyo, katipunan. Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, katipunero sugo. Todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Lipad na Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil.
Pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo Sediaren, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munch in with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo-Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
What's poppin', and welcome to Popcorn with Cholo Sediaren, your stop for all things pop, where we talk about all things pop culture from here in the Philippines to the rest of the globe. Welcome back, everyone, and this is another Marvel-filled episode as our favorite topic. Of course, as you can see, we're already wearing our Captain America gear, so we'll be talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier in this episode. But before that, of course, let's welcome back our co-hosts for the week. Welcome back, Paula, with her sheet.
Hi. With my shield in the background.
And her blonde
and
hair.
The tiny little Sam in the side. We've already acknowledged my blonde hair. It's fine, we're good.
Acknowledge it again. The tables have turned. Ikaw na yung may colored hair. We also have the nomad right here, Mr. Summer Ferns.
Yes, hello. Yes, hello.
And our attorney. Well, attorney.
Future attorney.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
Only if you want to.
Hello. Wow, thank you.
Our mystery voice is back.
Surprise, it's me, Cholo, but just,
But Dren,
mute
Cholo, but Dren.
We'll have
Everyone's
inner conscience.
parang official Dren reveal.
Isn't it strange how my name is nerd spelled backwards?
Ooh.
Cholo made it up.
And lastly but not the least, we have Joms joining us for the first time. Welcome.
Yay! I'm so happy.
Welcome. Finally here.
I think we were supposed to have Joms in the first episode ever.
In the first podcast,
And
yeah,
it's like-
Endgame.
What number is this already?
2 years na.
Finally.
It's been 2 years.
People have been waiting.
The time has come.
Yes, the time has come. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. So ayun, how's everyone? We're still in season 2 of
Of the lockdown.
yeah. But I mean, this is
The
the
worst
first
show ever.
ever that we don't have any Marvel shows to look forward to every Friday.
Oh yeah.
How has
Hmm.
that been?
It's been tough. I didn't know what to do with myself yesterday.
I was actually
After
pretty
work.
bored last night. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, am I supposed to be doing something tonight?
Diba?
Yeah.
Parang normally, nakaschedule na siya na I'd watch it with my dad, ganyan. Yesterday, it was like, so we watched anime instead. You know.
Yeah, parang it feels so empty for some reason because since January we've been waiting for something parang it was like our source of hope or something like that in a sense. Parang we have something to look forward to every week at least. And now it's like, they did release
And now we have to wait until June.
Yeah.
making of episode.
No, they released Assembled last night. So
Yeah.
I'll probably watch it.
It's just one episode, no?
Yeah.
So yun, any other thoughts on that? I mean, we will have Loki in a month, more or less. And
How can we survive a month?
Well, Bad Batch is coming on May 4.
Oh.
So if you're into the Star Wars animated series, that's probably going to be a good
I would
watch.
recommend Invincible, but the season finale just aired, so it's all.
Yeah, it was yesterday
also
also.
done.
Which was also good.
And I mean, HSM for me, HSM, the TMT.
Oh nga pala!
It sounds like you're saying like TMNT, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was like, is there a new show?
Teenage Mutant-
High School Musical, the
MCU.
musical, the series.
Oh, okay.
MCU and TFTWS.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Ayun, anyway, I mean, so we're talking about Captain America this week. And before we head towards the show, I guess let's talk about Captain America in general and what we feel. Because I feel like a lot of people have feelings also about Captain America, especially during the time of Civil War when it was Team Cap versus Team Iron Man, and I'm like I'm Team Cap, and people are like, why are you Team Cap? He's so boring, blah blah blah. And just the other day, I was also asked, na parang out of all the Marvel heroes and after all the cool people with all the cool powers, why do you choose Captain America as your favorite? And I'm like, I mean, ayun, that's a question
I mean, have you seen Chris Evans?
I mean, that's one for sure.
Captain America, not Chris Evans, okay?
Yes. And that's partially the reason also. I mean, pero yun, why Captain America and why do we still look up to him or the idea of Captain America in this day? Especially now that America is America. And
Ay.
America is Merc.
Oh, America.
America.
that was so ideal maybe way before. But for me, I guess to begin, well, I guess especially because of the movies, you really see it's really the idealism and like what people could be, the kindness and the political. I'm not really even political, but like what we could aspire to be and what kind of person or what kind of parang yung kabutihan lang ng loob na you can see in Steve Rogers. And I guess it will extend to Sam Wilson in some capacity also. But I guess it's just really what that stands for. It's what I appreciate about it, especially in our country where, you know, that's not something you see in everyone, especially here. And I feel like it's something that kind of symbol or person is kind of what we want to be and what we want to see. So that's what I like about the character the most. And of course, Chris Evans. That's a given. Paula.
Where do I begin? Captain America is without a doubt. No, not without a doubt. It's tied between him and Black Widow. My favorite superhero in the MCU, purely because of why Erskine chose him in the first place. Right? that he, at his heart, is just a good person, and I think that's what we all want to be. It's the trait that I look for in every lead character in every anime that I watch. If they're not like a good boy in their heart, it's probably not going to be an anime for me. And Steve Rogers is exactly that, and Sam Wilson as well. Not perfect people, but always trying to do what they think is right, and that's not something that I think I do often. So it's something I want to aspire to be. And yeah, Steve Rogers can be a little too rigid or a little too stiff in what he believes is right, but I don't think Captain America has ever been close-minded into what he sees as good or what he now perceives as good, because as the times change, then so does he, as we saw in Winter Soldier. So I think it's great to see a character who is so stuck to his ideals being open to adapting and changing and looking at the world in a different way and adjusting himself with what he sees now. So yeah, there's that. And Chris Evans' pecs. I mean, and that ass. Like, have you seen them?
Whoa.
Just yes, and Sam Wilson's ass as well. So it's just things that are important to me as a person.
Priorities.
I know. In that order.
In that order.
Okay.
Ayun.
Anyone else in that light?
Okay, I guess I can add in. I guess because before the MCU started, I was already an avid comic book fan. So I've been reading a lot of comics even before the MCU started. And I guess one complaint or thing that people would say about Captain America is like he's boring, especially next to the likes of back then Wolverine, Spider-Man, and when Robert Downey Jr. came in Iron Man. Steve Rogers was the straight arrow that I don't want to listen to this guy, which is also why probably I like Hawkeye, because Hawkeye always clashed with Captain America in the comic. But I think what the MCU was able to do in 3 movies with Steve Rogers is they were able to encapsulate his character and make him define who he is and make him move on as the times went by. So as Paula mentioned, we saw him in the first Avenger, saw what he was all about, and then we see him in modern times in Avengers and in Winter Soldier, and he changed as a person, but his ideals stayed the same. And as we saw him go along, as the whole Phase 1 went on, he just really encapsulated what a good man stood for. And I think that's what people like about him, that he's a hero through and through. And that's something that you can never deny from his character. And with the show, The Falcon and Winter Soldier, we see this embodiment of a great person and a great man and a great hero moving on to the next person, Sam Wilson. And I think that's why, out of all the people that Steve could have picked, Sam was the best choice to be Captain America. So, yeah. Thank you.
A speech, a declamation.
And I thank you. And I guess Chris Evans is hot. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, let's go.
Woo! I think that's probably something we can all agree on.
Yeah. Like, have your eyes checked if you don't.
Jen, you're trying to say something at the...
I was just kind of laughing, but sure.
Jen was just gonna add on more to Chris Evans' ass. Like that's.
Yes. I have a couple of things to say as like a disclaimer before I start. One is that I have never seen. That's the only MCU I've never seen is Captain America, the first Avenger.
Okay, I was
never seen it.
The Winter Soldier because I was going to come
Wait
for
a
you.
minute.
I've seen Winter Soldier. I've never seen the first Avenger. I don't know why. I think I just at this point it just feels like, oh man, like there's been like 20 movies. I don't have to go back and watch.
Stanley Tucci though.
Yeah, I know. And like, what's his name?
Hugo Weaving.
William
Hugo
Dafoe?
Weaving.
Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
Sorry, I always get them confused. But and the other thing is that I've been Team Iron Man ever since the Civil War. And funny story, Emil's not here, but he was there for this. When me and a bunch of LFC people went to first watch Civil War, I got into such like a heated argument that they were worried that other people, like we just walked out of the cinema and I got in such a heated argument. They thought me and this other guy were gonna start punching each other about like which side we should be on. So that's how invested I've been in. But I think interestingly, I'm kind of the, like, I guess the other side to you guys, because I've never really been a fan of Captain America. Not like it's not that I don't like him, but it's just that I've always favored other heroes over him. But because of what the MCU has done, like I appreciate. I'm kind of like, I guess my relationship with him is kind of like how Tony feels. It's like, I don't like you, but I respect you. Like, I don't agree with you, but I get where you're coming from. Like, I've never been the type of person to be like very strict with the rules and everything. I actually like really don't like that approach towards things. But at the same time, because of him, not just his good looks, but because like he argues for it so well sometimes, like it feels like, yeah, he kind of has a point.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciated. And with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm really impressed by how. I mean, it's still like, you know, not perfect, but I'm still very surprised by how well the MCU has adapted him. Because like if he was just the normal Captain America from the comics, I haven't read any of the comics, but if he was just a plain like, oh, I'm just like, you know, like for the good and everything, if he didn't like kind of adapt to circumstances like what Paula and John said, I think I would like just flat out hate him. But because of his transformation, I think he is in fact one of the most important characters in the MCU, at least thematically, and that's probably why he was, you know, such an important part in phase 1 through 3 of the MCU. So yeah.
I guess if I could add also, the funny thing is, my first like memory related to Captain America was when my family was about to go watch the first Avenger, and then my dad goes, "I'm not a fan, okay?" And then he comes out of the bathroom like wearing a Captain America t-shirt. Like that's really my first memory of Captain America. 'Cause my dad was a fan pala like back then before the movies came out. So I guess the interesting thing about Captain America for me is that he has a very timeless quality to him. Like when you hear Captain America, you already think like all of those qualities, like what was mentioned earlier, that he's a very good person and he tries his best to do what's good, and that's something that never really goes out of style or anything like that. And I think it was really interesting that they decided to pass the mantle to another character because it emphasizes that very generational quality to it. So it would be really interesting. It's an interesting way to introduce him to new audiences too.
Yeah.
I really have nothing else to add. Although I have to say, I was pretty impressed with the fact that the Marvel decided to get Chris Evans for Captain America, given that he was already Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
That he was given this a whole new change, and then we get to see him live out the Captain America we sort of see in the comics, like John said, and then we see how he progressed through the films up to Endgame as of now, and it's really who would have thought that Chris Evans would do such a great job, and we love him for it, as I guess all of us agree on. So that's pretty impressive, and I wouldn't consider myself also a fan of Captain America, but like John, I really respect him, what he stands for, and what he fights for, and as we see in the Falcon Winter Soldier, these ideals and how it plays into the world right now, in their world, in our world, it's really something that really piqued my interest, which is why I'm now really drawn to the storyline that the Captain America stories are trying to follow, even though some people say, no, it's not interesting, it's boring, it's all politics. But the thing is, that's what Captain America has always been about, even back during World War II. So that's what really interests me about Captain America.
That's a really good point. Na parang yun na nga. And I think that's why people nga are kind of averse to the idea, because it's so rooted in reality versus, I guess, the more fantastical ones like Thor or Doctor Strange. Na those are like some things that you don't really see happening, but the things that people tackle in Captain America, or the issues, are so related to what we see in the news today, especially. And parang people are always like, oh, why are you making this movie political? Why are you making this thing? Why
It's
are
such
you
a funny comment,
right?
Yeah, I know.
But
I love reading comments like those. Just gives me life.
It's just like I feel like that's what we also need to see portrayed, the realistic or the more like worldly, or I guess yung pinaka-human aspect of it is you can see it through the lens of this series, especially now na the political landscape is constantly changing, and now it's really heated. Like debate, especially in the last few years. So yun. I guess now that leads us to the conversation about the movies or the franchise ng Captain America, the first three films. Of course, I think a lot of us here can agree that The Winter Soldier is it's our number one MCU movie. I think Paula shares the same sentiment, and Joms din ba?
I don't know
I mean,
anymore. Top 3, definitely.
Top 5 for
Oh
me.
no, it's
Top five
still
for
in
me.
my top one.
Yeah, it's in
Anton
my
and
top
I,
one.
my brother spent like a whole day just ranking everything again.
We used to do that at
Still
work.
Instead of working, we were just ranking Marvel films.
Yeah.
So you
Like,
know,
are you
thanks,
sure
Makan.
that should go there? Or
It's in like full out screaming matches.
Yeah.
Pero
good
I,
times.
I think it's at the top 5 at least for so many people, and that says a lot for a film that came out in 2015.
Yep.
Oh no way! Wow.
Yeah,
So
dude,
long ago.
6 years.
14.
Oh, 2014. Dang.
Okay.
Older pa. Ayun.
Kasi parang, I guess, what makes The Winter Soldier stand out is that when you remove Captain America or Marvel from it, it will stand on its own,
Yeah.
like political thriller.
Definitely.
And, yun. Any other like distinct comments about the franchise before we head on to the show? I mean, aside from what
Actually, for me personally,
about, sorry.
personally, I know a lot of people also like Civil War, and I get the point that all these heroes are fighting each other, but I think The Winter Soldier just really blasted out of the water because, as you said, it stands on its own as a political thriller, and I think coming from Phase 1 and then Avengers and then going through Iron Man 3 and then seeing Winter Soldier. All the MCU movies before then were very fantastical, there's a villain, I need to punch this guy in the face and then I win. But then The Winter Soldier was the first time, one that you ever felt that, wait, who's the villain here? Because it's an organization, it's Hydra, and it's S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's not a villain that you can punch in the face and win at the end of the day. And two, it felt the stakes were really high against our heroes. And you could really feel that, okay, how are they going to win against this big organization which has taken control of America? And I think that's what really made the movie stand out from the back then, and it has still stood out from the back until now. It's really great, and the score, it's amazing. My gosh, Henry Jackman's the best.
Plus you add the fact na it's Bucky he's facing up against now.
Yes,
so it's not just the political thing. It's now even more personal for Steve himself.
Yeah.
So I love that balance that they put into it.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. You see the tension, how important it is to Steve for fight for himself and for what he's trying to fight for in the general sense. And yes, Henry Jackman is amazing. Please keep coming back.
Gosh, yeah.
And I think maganda rin kasi yung theme that runs throughout the series na who can you trust these days? Like, even in Civil War, when you have Steve kind of protecting Bucky, who did that, right, to Tony's parents and everyone else the Winter Soldier has affected. Na parang, who can you trust these days? Can we trust the government? Of course, the question, that's not really a question anymore. Pero yung mga ganong concept of like, it's just really like putting out those bigger questions that really affect not just what's in the movie universe, but also in the outer space, like
Guardians.
like in real life again, as I mentioned earlier. So
I think bouncing off lang on the whole Captain America series, talking about trust and struggling with that, like all of the Captain Americas so far have struggled with that idea, and this is something Sel and I have discussed a lot. Is I always wonder why people don't understand why Steve did not sign the Sokovia Accords. Like coming from the Winter Soldier and him, realizing that the people he's trusted, the institution that he thought stood for everything he stood for as well, lying to him for all of these years and corrupted something that the people he loved created, diba? Of course he's not going to trust anything these people do. He doesn't know them. He doesn't know what they're fighting for in the shadows. So it's just funny to me how people never understood why Steve wouldn't trust these people, as opposed to si Tony naman, who's always just been working for himself, realizing that he can't trust himself, will trust someone that he thinks is doing right naman. Right? I have rethought my hatred towards Civil War, and I think it's actually a pretty good movie reflecting recently. There you go.
You guys have discussed so many like serious things. I'll just add a funny anecdote that when I watched Winter Soldier, and there's that moment when Cap goes like, "Who's Bucky?" I was like, "Oh, who's Bucky?" Because I hadn't seen the first Avengers movie, so I was like, "Oh, who is Bucky?"
Who the hell is Bucky?
Exactly, like
yeah.
this guy, this really handsome guy with like, "Oh, ooh, who's Bucky?" You know?
When Bucky takes off his mask, everyone's like, "Oh!" And then
And Dren is like,
I was just like,
"Who? What?
that guy.
Who's this guy?"
I feel
I
like
think, yeah.
I go ahead, Red.
No, I think watched it with LFC people, and everyone was like, and I was just like, "Yup, that guy."
to the non-Atenean in the room, LFC is Loyola Film Circle.
Oh,
Pala
sorry.
Jones, it's an org.
Okay.
Yeah,
Noted.
sorry.
Sumabay pala si Dren kay Bucky. Who the hell is Bucky? Like word for word.
Bucky.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, he's handsome. though.
What is a Bucky?
Yeah.
I think ganun din yung feeling ng a lot of people in like when you just go watch Civil War and Infinity War and
Ang
without
daming
really like
characters.
being caught up, like who is this guy?
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
happening? What
Yeah.
what's their relevance here? But I guess that leads us na to Endgame and the end of Endgame where old man Steve Rogers comes and gives the shield to Sam Wilson, and of course that's more recent comic history where Sam Wilson becomes Captain America, and syempre we didn't expect, I guess, Sam Wilson to just be Captain America the next time we see him, and that leads to the show The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And ayun, I guess let's head the discussion towards that end. So whereas WandaVision gives us a close look into like a smaller vicinity, like a town, and how certain people are affected by the events of Endgame, this is more like a wider scale, global, America or national. What happens after the whole world comes back, or half of the world comes back, and what is the effect of that into the global narrative? So, ayun. Let's talk about our general impressions or feelings about the show. I guess I wasn't surprised that I liked it as a whole because we've been talking Captain America for a few minutes now, and it's something I expected to like naman because of what the franchise stands for, and I really appreciated in the Marvel shows aspect na we see a more intimate look into the lives of these heroes, especially in episode 1 na parang we got to know more about Sam Wilson here more than how many 5 movies we've seen him in, and even Bucky na they're mostly just on the side, and now there's really a spotlight into what they're feeling inside, and that's what I really liked about the first episode, just coming into it. So I guess let's start from there.
What I've been liking so far with all of the Marvel Disney Plus shows is how it always gravitates towards the stories of consequences. The consequences of Wanda, and what she's done and what she's experienced, and the same thing here with Bucky and Sam. The consequences as well of the blip. I think in a movie, it's hard to really see the grander scale of what Thanos did, outside of it happening to the core Avengers. But we see in both these shows how it affected everyone's lives talaga. The scale and gravitas, I guess, of that action. And I think that's really important in a series that I think critically has not dealt with consequences very well in the last few movies. So I'm really, really happy that they're exploring that more in their shows. So hopefully Loki will continue that streak of consequences. And yeah, I agree. Seeing these characters in a more intimate way is definitely, as fans, important. And I think it helped build the story and let you kind of attach yourselves to these two and all of the other characters, quite honestly, like a lot more, and you care for them a lot more, and you care for what they're going to fight for in their struggle. So generally, I was just very happy with the show. That's me.
Jumping off Paula's point about consequences, I think that is the recurring trend with the Disney Plus Marvel shows. They're very centered on trauma, both personal and societal trauma, which is something caused by, of course, what Thanos did, the blip and everything. For me personally, what I really enjoyed about the show was like Bucky's whole therapy journey. I think
Yes.
that was like that for me that was such a highlight because I mean this guy was brainwashed for like how long,
Yeah.
and the fact that it never really aside from like rogue side of Bucky, and also on a grander scale it talked about also like trauma on society. Like of course the blip would bring up a lot of questions of what happened to the people, how were they reintegrated back into society, of course questions of policy and legislation. What did the governments do?
Mhm.
And I think that was the another really interesting point. And admittedly I felt like the series was too
Agreed.
short.
Yes.
Yes.
There were
Agree.
Not enough.
Yeah.
6 episodes. I mean, we didn't even understand like completely. I don't know if it's because, as mentioned earlier, I'm a law student. I was wondering like what exactly was in that. What exactly was the policy that they were trying
Yeah.
to push?
Mm.
I didn't really like that. For me, that was really unclear. But of course, that's a huge question. Diba? If half the world like shows up again, like where do they go?
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they lose all of the benefits they had before? Do they lose their jobs? Do they get them back? Like, there's so many questions that they could have explored, but I think they were very limited by the time frame. But overall, I think it was a good way to explore the trauma of the blip, which was something that they haven't really done. I mean, it even kind of became a joke in Spider-Man. Like, although I think that levity was much
Yep.
needed at the time, but now that they have like more space to discuss more, I wish they had more space, but at least they were able to discuss a lot of things that, of course, us as fans have been wondering for a while now.
I guess that brings our question in na rin, which I wanted to discuss a bit later. But yun na nga, parang 6 hours of this isn't even enough to discuss
Yeah.
what you want to see, right?
Yeah,
And
it was a mandate by the studio for all of the shows to just be 6 hours
Oh,
long.
really?
Yeah, WandaVision is 6 hours, and so will every other Marvel show
Oh, damn.
coming out on Disney Plus.
yeah, so I think
Yeah.
there might be like an issue. Despite that mandate, I feel like there's kind of an issue of how they're pacing it or like how they wanna pace it. Kasi
I
parang
agree. Yeah.
even with WandaVision, kahit 9 episodes siya, medyo the last part of it was kind of like rushed. I feel like the finale part.
Rushed.
Okay, let's spoiler alert.
Mm.
Let's reveal
Yeah.
Agatha, and then parang okay, nag-away na sila agad after that. Parang ganun na yun eh, di ba?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I feel like this show could have used one
Definitely.
more episode to, like, one episode purely just for the fighting and all of the next episode.
I
Yeah.
definitely agree with everyone so far, especially Sel. Like that was one of the main things I kept asking was just like, what are they doing? Like, what exactly are they fighting against?
What is the law?
Because in my head, I was like, I cannot agree with the flag smashers, like, which
Right? Yeah.
Ideologically, yeah.
because I was
Yes,
like,
yes,
this
yes.
kind of like how is it logical? Like even just from like a humanitarian standpoint, like why is it that the people that come back take priority over the people that have been here? Like that doesn't
Exactly.
make any sense. And like God, that's one of my biggest not to get into spoilers because I'm guessing like Cholo's saving that for later, but there's something that happens in one of the penultimate episodes that I did such a 180 because I was agreeing with the Slack Slashers. Then something happens, and I was like, okay, I guess I don't agree with them anymore because of something they did. I was like, oh well,
I guess they're
alrighty.
bad guys.
So yeah, exactly. Like it definitely felt like they were doing such a
Yeah.
good job of like who's right, who's wrong, and then suddenly they were like, oh, I guess they're wrong. So yeah, that's probably one of my biggest problems with the series is that it's too short. I don't blame the series itself. I blame the studio because coming from Star Cinema,
Yeah.
not to call anyone out, but like there's really like behind the scenes, like there's a lot of like we only have this much money, you know, like our data says that this is the only way that it's gonna make money, etc., etc. So it's not like they crashed Disney Plus with WandaVision. I don't know, like they probably shot a lot of it already and they were just wrapping it up. That's why they couldn't adjust it. So it's frustrating, but also I get it, and it's something that they have to address for Captain America 4. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and parang yun na nga, parang I think it's really something that they should look into once they start producing the next. I mean, as they continue producing the next series here. I mean, although syempre the other series will be introducing new characters, or it might be completely different like shows altogether versus
Yeah.
like already the ones we already have with Scarlet Witch and Captain America and Loki. But yeah, I hope they do something about that. Anyone else regarding the whole pacing issue?
Nothing about this. I needed more. Not enough.
Yeah,
Definitely.
We need more.
This is why we hate mandates. Any kind.
I actually have a feeling, well, coming from the information that was just shared, that there was a mandate for 6 hours. I feel that was given to them first, and then okay, write against this, as opposed to they write the story as they would, and then hey, it so happens it fixed in 6 hours, so let's make it like this, which I feel really limits the creative output and limits how we can see these characters grow and develop the way that we would like them to as viewers in terms of pacing. I guess not to compare, but for example, Daredevil, greatest show ever. I mean, gosh, you guys should get on it. Daredevil is so good, and the way it's written, it's actually a slow burn. It's pretty slow in terms of pace, but you never get bored because you follow the characters so closely. And I feel, as opposed to, hey, write again 6 hours, I feel that show, in contrast, was written and then, hey, okay, let's make it like this because this is how we recommend it to go. So yeah, I really hope that they fix this pacing moving forward. Probably not in this first phase of Disney Plus shows, especially since I'm sure they were all affected by the pandemic, and they've already been shot and they're already post production. So maybe for the next phase, let's see. But yeah, definitely something they should look into.
I guess let's talk about the bigger issues muna, I guess, that they talked about on here. And I really think that it's such a timely show to put out, especially coming from the Trump era in the US and all the other modern social issues. I feel like it's just a really great parang great way to continue the Captain America franchise legacy of putting those issues up front. And we see it early on in the maybe second episode or third episode ba yun, where, you know, Sam and Bucky were just walking on the street and the police came up and, you know, si Bucky pala talaga yung hinuhula nila, and like, but then that kind of feeling that Sam had, even though he was already like Falcon or he's an Avenger in general, parang nandun pa rin yung parang I don't know what the correct term for it is.
They see the race first before the man.
Yeah.
Racial profiling.
Yep.
Is the term? Yeah.
I mean, that just makes it even more relevant because, you know, I feel like the Captain America franchise, of course, with Steve Rogers in the front, is very like white or like white leaning, and diba, parang to have these characters at the forefront, Sam Wilson especially, is what America needs to see.
I agree.
That, I guess, translate into further on in the story as well. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think like everyone felt this frustration at the start of the series where Sam gives the shield to the Smithsonian, and you know, I'm sure everybody was just screaming, "No, stop it!" But like, I think we all just, like Steve and Bucky, had no idea of like that burden onto Sam, a black man living in America, carrying the title of America. I think it's such a grand concept that we, especially as non-Americans, can't really fully understand. And I think the show does a good job also in explaining that privileged ignorance to Bucky, for example, and then more so to us as well. I'm happy that he explained it in such a way, and it was very nice then to see, I think, like how non-toxic that discussion went between the two of them. Bucky being understanding and realizing that he has no idea about those repercussions, because even if he was a straight up like murderer in his past, people still accept him on some level because of his skin tone, because he's white, because of his history and all of that. That Sam does not have the luxury of. The man can't even get a loan from the bank, for crying out loud. So all of these things, I think, were well done. I think like palatable to the market as well. It's not like forced down your throat kind of thing, which is very natural with how the story progressed. And I hope we see more of that moving forward as well, because I don't think the racial undertones of Captain America will cease after the series. I think we'll just continue to see more of it as the movies progress, and I'm excited to see what hopefully stronger messages Marvel can say about these issues.
And it's like definitely gonna be bigger now that, I mean, spoiler alert for people who haven't watched, but I'm sure you probably have watched if you're watching or listening to this. I mean, Sam becomes Captain America, and Captain America as a black man is definitely something not a lot of people will like. I feel like even in the real world, there are some people who reacted negatively to this, and that will just be, I guess, explored even further there. And magandang, I think one of the best scenes that show that parang racial undertones is in the bank nga, as Paula mentioned, where the guy was like, "Oh, you're the Falcon, let me take a selfie with you," and then he goes on to reject him. Parang the difference of like being a token or just a celebrity because, and just so happening to be black, but then still being treated like a black man otherwise. Parang that just speaks about what struggle people may go through. And he's already an Avenger, he's the Falcon. What more the other people who are just normal people, right?
Yeah.
Yun.
I guess adding to that, I recall when they first made Sam Captain America in the comic. And I guess it's a very niche market, of course, to talk to comic book readers. But even then, there was such a public outcry.
Yeah.
It was unavoidable, and I think that was what Marvel wanted to do for the comic back then, to show a Captain America that upholds these ideals and values of what America should be, and it doesn't have to be rooted in a race or a man who is white with blonde hair and blue eyes. And I think what makes it all the more powerful is they're translating these same arguments and pushing it to a media that's even more mainstream, which can reach so many more people. So I know there's not a lot of people who read comics, and Captain America being Sam Wilson is news to most people. So now that this argument is out there being talked about more, I think that's a huge, huge, huge win for Marvel in terms of bringing these arguments outright and saying, hey, maybe we should start thinking about these kinds of things, because people really, they go through problems like this every day.
Yeah.
And it's just really refreshing to see it in a show that's so mainstream and so Disney-fied, so it's just really great. So yeah.
Actually,
And Captain America
one,
swearing is great. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true though. But that's actually one of the things I really loved then about the episode, because one of the biggest things that came out of Endgame where people were arguing, why did Steve give it to Sam and not Bucky, Bucky's friend? I was like, and I was really looking forward to how will the show deal with this. And they went to this wing, getting from the comics, getting from real life, showing that why Sam was the perfect person, was the right person rather, but there are some repercussions into why this may be a problem, and they really took great care into telling that part of it. That they were so careful, and they had to explain that it doesn't really matter what the color of your skin was, but it really is because Sam was a good person, a good man also. But so that he was a good man. But it's good that they took this avenue, like like Jom said, Marvel took the chance. Let us tell this story because it does matter, even more
Especially
so
now.
Right now, it really matters now. So everything just came together for Marvel talaga. It was a great chance, and I'm glad that they told it maybe fast-paced, but at least they were able to tell it on a very grand scale.
Yeah.
Very grand scale. So imagine if this was a movie, like I don't know how, but now it is
Too
a series.
short.
Now
Yeah,
that
definitely.
now that it's a series, we get to watch and then really reflect on it every week to see why it's important to have these discussions and why it was really important, why it really does matter that Sam is now the new Captain America. Yeah. So
I thought
thank
it
you.
was I thought it was a nice touch then for Bucky to imply that he and Steve discussed it before Steve left. It wasn't just a decision made by Steve. I think that was really great to hear because so many people were arguing why didn't he choose Bucky to be the new Cap, and obviously the boy is too traumatized to hold any type of big responsibility like that.
Boy, he's 100 years old.
It's a child. But yeah, I really appreciated that. And again, just and Bucky, I think, showing that need for therapy and need for closure is something that it was fresh to see with Marvel.
Definitely.
I'm very, very happy that that's another issue that they were able to sort of show. I mean, I feel like kulang pa rin ng konti, but it's out there and that's what's important naman.
Yeah.
I think I also liked how the bigger like societal problems were well reflected in the internal struggles of the characters, especially with Sam. Given that he knew how horrible the backlash would be if he had taken up the shield right away. And I think there was a moment that he really doubted himself that he was worthy of it. Like he felt this need that he needed to earn that recognition from other people as opposed to like that Mr. Walker that they just gave it to and everyone just like accepted him with open arms kind of thing. But Sam felt like he needed to earn something. And if you go back to like the history of Sam's character, what else does he need to do, right?
Yeah.
He's totally already earned it, but the problem nga is how society is going to view him. So I think it was really important then for Sam to go on this journey also, that he was able to see it's not that he earned it through the show, but he saw that he already earned it.
Yeah.
Even prior
definitely.
to everything. And there's a reason that Steve gave it to him, and this is the only part where he was really able to understand that he deserves the shield. And he's earned it way more than he thinks he does. And I think it's also important because going back to how Steve met Sam was that he was helping out with, if I'm not mistaken, like rehabilitation of soldiers.
VA.
For veterans,
For veterans. So I think that's a really interesting point that that's the new Captain America as well. Like somebody who helps with like therapy of veterans and helping people get over something really traumatic.
Yeah.
I actually
Gosh,
really like
love the show.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm just commenting. I love this show so much.
That whole idea of Sam being like an expert on kind of comforting and being with people who are traumatized. I think that's also like perfect because Walker, who ends up becoming, again, spoilers if you haven't seen the show, he ends up becoming a U.S. agent, is essentially a traumatized soldier as well. I was so ready to hate this guy because he looked like Casey Neistat. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna be a bad guy. Like when he came out, you just see his chin, and I was like, it's Casey Neistat. And I'm like, oh, it's not him. Yeah. Like, it was so funny because when he first appeared, I immediately thought it was Casey Neistat. Then I looked it up and I was like,
it was
oh,
Kurt
it's Wyatt
Russell's
Russell.
son.
Kurt Russell, sorry. Yeah, Wyatt Russell. And one of the first things I read about him was that he auditioned to be Captain America first when first Avenger came out, was rejected, and now Marvel was like, okay, we need a guy to play Captain America who's not good at being Captain America. And then they were like, hey, remember that guy had a really bad audition being Captain America? Let's get that guy. Like, it's so funny to me. But that kind of encompasses his character too. He's like the second-rate Captain America, which is so perfect. And
like a Lazada Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and what do you call this? When his first interactions with Sam, I think, are really so interesting because I like how they didn't make it such that he was just like, I hate you. Sam was just like, I don't like you. Sam was willing to give him a chance, and like, see, Walker, he was a douche, but he wasn't like a bad person, which is really important to me because I think that's kind of how racism, at least from what we hear, obviously we're not Americans, but that's kind of how racism is now. It's like very subtle, and it's very like not like in your face, like I don't want you to be Captain America. It's just like you would be a great Captain America, but I'm a better Captain America, right? For this reason, this reason, and he's like saying all of these supposedly objective reasons why he's the better Captain America, but I think we all realize like he's really saying you can't be Captain America because you're black, and I'm, and I look like Captain America. So it's really interesting the racial politics that happened in the show, because I really do think, although again it's not perfect, they only had 6 hours. It's so difficult, but they did a pretty good job, all things considered, and there wasn't any harmful message, which I think is the most important thing when it comes to that. So yeah, really good job, Kevin Feige and co. And the entire series is directed by a woman, and I think it shows.
Yes.
I think it shows because all of the scenes are handled with so much more care. And I'm not trying to like profile like, oh, female directors. Like it's more like, oh, obviously she understands it better. Like she's a lot more skilled when it comes to that thing, probably because she pays attention to those things more. So yeah, it's awesome.
Now Casey Neistat as Captain America is stuck in my head.
I'm so
I
sorry.
know,
In my
right?
head now.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I thought it was like a well-known thing. That was like what me and my friends immediately. It's Casey Neistat. Oh, it's not Casey Neistat.
But Wyatt Russell was amazing. He did a
It was
great.
great.
He did a
He was
really great
great.
job.
Does not deserve the hate.
Yeah,
He
the
was
bullying
definitely not.
happening.
I mean, I guess that speaks about how well he portrayed it, because it translated to people hating him and not the character.
It's horrible though.
I know.
But I mean, I guess bouncing off of that conversation about John F. Walker, ang ganda para, again, as we were speaking about earlier, like, who is the villain here really? Is it the guy trying to be the next Captain
It's
America? Is it, it's America.
It's America.
The system.
It's like, is it the flag smashers? Is it, ayun, there's a lot packed into that, and I think that's what makes it really great. I think Paula mentioned this a while back, even when the first time John Walker debuted as Captain America, na this is what America thinks they are, and Steve Rogers is what America wants to be, and like now that we see Sam Wilson as Captain America, parang this is what America needs. That kind of conversation between all three versions, if you can call it that, is a nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
Anything to add to that, Paula? I think yung point mo.
Wow.
Oh no, I mean, like, when I first saw John Walker's character, immediately I was like, oh, this is a dude who has like BLM in his profile, but then says the N-word behind his back. All those things. And I think it's actually, to be quite honest, he is very much a perfect representation of who America is. So, it's a good like mirror to hold, I guess, in front of America's face. Like, you guys would like to think that you stand for freedom and all of that. Really, when you guys have a little taste of power, you abuse it to the nth degree. Which was great with how they showed Walker's journey like that. And I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, the show was so well done in that respect that we know that Walker isn't a bad, like, evil kind of world domination dude, but he is bad in his own respect. And that makes you kind of think about your own biases and how you treat people who you might think are lesser than you, with how he treated Sam. I mean, it was horrible for him to say na, I need Captain America's wingman, as if that's the only thing that Sam is, or that Bucky was just Steve's best friend. Like, they were so much more than that. And that's what Steve had always acknowledged naman, that they were his partners. He never ever saw himself as like above everyone else. And that's what Sam is as well, So, ayun.
Ang ganda din kasi na parang, okay, this is what American society or the American government has ingrained in this person to be feeling this way and acting this way towards everyone else, especially in that scene in where the Dora Milaje came out and he was like, you don't have jurisdiction here, but like, why does he have jurisdiction in another country, right? At the same time. So
for the record, he doesn't.
Exactly.
Yes, Sal, hit him with that law.
Yes. You should be Captain America. Wait.
Oh, that was great though, when they faced off I always just call them the Wakandan army. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then he realizes that he sucks. They don't even have.
Oh,
They're not even
so bad.
super soldiers. Yeah.
Right? They're not even super soldiers, and he lost horribly.
Yeah.
Which
Also
is
great to see.
Throughout the series, though, I was one of the people that like really sympathized with him in a way.
Yeah.
Because I really felt so like, man, this guy, like, he was just a side. Like, he always did what he was told, right? 3 Medal of Honors, blah blah blah, whatever. and he was always just like, I will go where I'm told to go, and I do. In a way, he's Steve. Just like it came out a little bit wrong. You know what I mean? Like Steve came out the perfect gingerbread man, and Wyatt's like he was burned a little bit. He's got a little
Class
bit of
A version nga siya.
right? Like yeah, but
Lazada version.
you know what I mean? Like I what I like about him is that for me at least, it's like if Captain America didn't like maybe get such a good support system around him, if Captain America didn't get like such, you know, like if just a few things went wrong for Rogers, maybe he would have ended up like that. We don't know. So that's why I always thought to myself, please don't make him just be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm just bad for the sake of being bad. Oh, I'm traumatized, you know. Again, spoilers. My best friend passed away. Now I'm evil, and I'm so happy that it was a little abrupt. Again, going back to like it was just 6 hours. He just kind of did a 180 in the last episode. Like, oh, I'm not evil anymore. But it's like, it was the end that I wanted for him. But I just wish that they showed it a little bit more. Expanded on it a
Fleshed
little
out,
bit. But I think that's true for a lot of the other characters in the series that aren't Falcon and Bucky, like the leader of the Flag Smashers. What's her name?
Carly.
Carly, yeah.
Paula's favorite character.
I'm kind of moving away from the topic.
I was trying not to mention that, but
Sorry, but yeah, go ahead, Cholo. I moved away a little bit.
No, you're in the right track, naman. Yeah, I mean, I guess let's go to the Flag Smashers now. Not our favorite Carly, Ray Jepsen. A different Carly. Ayun na nga, in that conversation about who the villain is, a big antagonist, quote-unquote antagonist here are the Flag Smashers, who are pretty much trying to make the world a better place, but in their own little, not so little way that they were able to do it. Ayun, I feel like Paula is
lots of feelings, I think.
Hate you guys. Okay, I mean, like ideologically, what the Flag Smashers are fighting for, I think, is correct. I mean, that's the reason why so many people were attracted to their cause in the first place, as what Sam mentioned in the show. And as my problem is with a lot of people who are fighting for what's right, it's always how they present themselves, I think, that's frustrating to me. Because they always go to the extreme, and I think that's where the Flag Smashers went wrong. They went to an extremist way, which is never the right thing to do. When you sacrifice your own ideals for you to be heard, then there's something wrong there. So it's hard for me to view them as a villain. It's easy for me to not like them, but it's hard for me to view them as the villain when they were fighting for what they also believed to be true. And it was like, correct naman. All of these displaced people with nowhere to go, and the government was basically ignoring them. That's a story we've heard in history time and time again, and nobody fights for them. And these people presented themselves to them as a savior of sorts, you know? So they're great. I just don't like the actress of Carly. Hated her since Solo, A Star Wars Story, and hated her still. So I don't think they really did her character justice in the end.
Wait,
but she was one.
In Fist Nest.
Yeah.
The same character.
She was the same character.
The same idea.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Down with the organization.
I don't know if she's a good actress or she's just annoying. But that is just me. There's something about her voice that makes me want to grate my ears just so I won't listen to her. Yeah. That's me.
Maybe that was the effect she was trying to put out. Maybe. I don't know.
I think it's just me who has this intense dislike, to be quite honest.
But yun na nga, it's really nice that they put some kind of antagonist like this. Na you can't help but also like sympathize with them because you know that what they're standing for is what's actually right. And what's right and wrong in this current world, post-blip, and even right now in the post-Trump era, current Duterte era, you know, what's right and wrong. What's right for us might not be what other people believe are right, and vice versa, diba? So parang ang gandang, and how do you make people believe that, oh, you're on the right track, but can you like tone it down a bit, or can we work together so we can like, because Sam also is a displaced person and who came back from the blip, but he doesn't necessarily present himself that way, and he wants the change to happen as well, not just as a black person, but as one of the people who came back, right? So
Yeah.
the difference or the contrast between the two are really nice. And any other Flag Smashers content we want to talk about?
Content.
Content talaga.
Content. I guess one interesting tidbit that I found nice about the show, especially the earlier episodes before Carly went, crazy and blew up that building. Spoiler alert. Was that we were presented with characters and groups and factions that actually spoke truth, especially since like, hey, I'm the hero of my story, and that was applied across all. And for the first few episodes, the clashing ideals were basically John Walker and the Flag Smashers, and Sam was in the middle. And I think that was a nice way to bring the story forward. That Sam and Bucky were here trying to mediate between the two and see a compromise on which ideal or what solution can we do to make sure that everything goes according to plan. And I think that was the bulk of Sam's speech in the end, which I absolutely loved and adored. But yeah, that was really great until, of course, we presented that, oh, Kylie's the bad guy because she blew up this and nothing. And then, there you go. We have a villain in the story. So it was good while it lasted, but I guess the Flag Smashers at the start were very you could see yourself with them. Okay, maybe I agree with these people until they started killing people. So,
But I mean, I understand why Carly went to that direction
yeah,
in the end, diba? Because at every turn where she thought she could
No one
make a
was listening.
difference, diba?
Yeah.
She was always cut short, and she started to get desperate, and like maybe the only way they will listen is if I kill a bunch of people, which is wrong, but you understand where she's coming from.
definitely.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Jones. Like, I was with it. Like, I was like, yeah, Flag Smashers. Name kind of sucks, but yeah.
It's wearing a mask.
Like, I totally agreed with Sam Wilson. I was like, that's the name they came up with. The
I know.
Flag Smashers. But
So
okay,
maganda
sure.
naman yung tagline nila, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay,
Great
cool.
tagline.
Yeah, and like, I guess I didn't have the same thing with Paula. I like the Scottish accent, so I was like, yeah, it's like Merida from Brave, but
Oh
evil.
no, I don't like her also.
Oh yeah, see,
I think it's the hair.
It's-
Paula.
yeah, it's like-
no,
Oh.
no.
no, but because
This is-
Paula likes Weasley, so it's not the hair. Can't
Yeah.
be. But anyway, so yeah, I was with it, and then just like Jobs, they blow up the building in that
You know,
one
like,
episode.
oh, okay.
I was like, what? Like, oh
Wait
my
just
god!
a second.
I guess they're the bad guys.
We fight for equality. We fight for this. Let me burn down this building with people still inside. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because like you hate to see the marginalized people in a TV show act that way, right? Like,
Mm.
she's
Yeah.
not marginalized the way Sam is, but she's marginalized in a completely different way.
Yeah.
She's a refugee essentially, and like a lot of her associates are also refugees. And suddenly they just like it. Apart from her, all her associates, I actually like. I want to know their stories more
Yeah.
in a way
Mm.
because they're sensible. You know, when she goes like, "This is the only way that they're gonna listen," they all look at her like, "Really? This is the-
Crazy?
Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Yeah.
This was not the
I want to
plan.
know. I want to know what happened to Harley also to make her think that way because I'd like to think that most human beings wouldn't be like they're not listening. Better resort to violence. Like it takes a lot for a person to be pushed to that edge, and I wish they explored that more. But again, no time. We need a villain. And then the end, she just dies. Like she literally, it's like the most anticlimactic. Oh,
That's
she got
true.
shot. Captain, the super soldier serum doesn't make you immune to bullets. Then she just dies in the arms of Sam, which inspires him to make the speech in a way, and that's also like kind of
It's a very Wonder Woman moment.
yeah,
It was
Great speech, though.
yeah.
Great
No,
speech.
yeah,
much
exactly.
better speech, but
was
it was still.
Definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
a speech will not solve like the world's problems, and that's how
Exactly.
it was kind of presented as.
And I
Which
think
is like,
that's see Sal's nodding because I was about to say the thing that I wanted to know after Falcon made that speech was like, okay, I want to know what policy they're gonna reenact.
Diba?
Like I want to know what
Oh,
law
yeah,
they're gonna
actually,
pass
yeah.
to fix this because like, or maybe it just opens up negotiations because one of the amazing things that they point out. That Sam points out is that why are the white people making the decision? America making the decision for the rest of the country. Like, what about me? Why is there no like black person in your little circle meeting, like Doctor Strangelove meeting room? Like, so just that alone made me go like that's a good point. I wish that they had explored more. I wish obviously there was more time to discuss these things. Maybe Captain America 4, I don't know, but that's how I feel about the Flag Smashers in general. Sorry.
Probably because they put in the Philippines there. They called it a day. We are represented. Good.
Yeah.
It's like,
Like,
yeah.
hey, look, an
Isang
Asian.
mundo, isang tao. Let's go.
We got an Asian. We're good.
Yep.
And congratulations to Shanty Dope who
I
got
know,
picked.
right?
Yeah.
Ah!
His song's fire.
I literally stopped watching the episode. I think I messaged Paula.
Yeah,
then
you did.
like, oh my gosh, Shanty Dope is here. And then I went ahead and messaged them, and I was like, oh my gosh. I messaged the manager. I was like, oh, andito pala sa Winter Falcon and Winter Soldier yung and they didn't know also that it was that show that they were gonna put it into.
That's so nice.
They just
That's so cool.
backstory lang, I guess. They just got an email from Marvel Studios, the sound person or the music coordinator, and they just approached them for a Marvel project, undisclosed what they were gonna use it for, and then not even telling them what episode it's gonna be on, etc.
Grabe.
Can you imagine? Hey, we just got an email from Marvel. From who?
I know. Just that
Yeah,
thought.
like,
Chills.
good day. This is Marvel Studios. And you're like, what?
No, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You probably think it was a prank.
Yeah.
My name is Henry Jackman. Wait, what?
Excuse me? But it was interesting because what's the name of that place again?
Madripoor.
Yeah,
Madripoor.
Madripoor is supposed to be under Singapore, but like I guess they moved it to, which makes more sense, quite honestly, for like a really shady island to be in our country.
Yes.
It makes more sense.
Yes.
More like
I think it's in Indonesia.
Indonesia
Yeah,
area.
I think so.
They
Yeah.
mentioned it's Indonesia.
Underneath there.
But I think, I don't know, based on Google searches, Filipino is really one of the languages used
Yeah.
in that country or that place. So, some people kasi were arguing na parang, oh, it's wrong representation. They're supposed to be Indonesia, but they use a Tagalog song. I'm like, no, I'm gonna fight for Shanty Dope. And especially coming from the government, coming for Shanty Dope like 2 years ago. That was a big work struggle that I had, not gonna lie. And yun, it was just nice seeing that sort of redemption. Hey, we're in a Marvel Studios project now. What's up, Pedea?
I think you'd say that's pretty dope.
Oh.
Okay, moving on now.
Oh.
Moving on, I guess now that we're in Madripoor.
I've missed your humor, Joe.
Sorry, you invited me.
Ayun, we also see the return of Baron Zemo and Sharon Carter in the show, which is
Baron Zemo.
a nice way to see returning characters who haven't really been fleshed out into another show. Although I would argue that Sharon Carter wasn't really fleshed out here yet.
Yeah.
At least her motivation. It's
You're
like,
hinting at it. Yeah, I think.
yeah, parang so far kasi she's always been that, oh, hey, I'm gonna help you. I'm a super secret agent, SHIELD agent. Now I'm in the CIA.
I had a
Now-
weird thing with Steve Rogers. We don't talk about that.
I know.
Oh.
Slightly incestuous, but
I know.
Yun, parang at least now seeing the bigger picture of them making her the power broker gives her something to do,
Spoilers.
spoiler.
like more than just being that other
Yeah.
chick on the side na who just happens to be Peggy Carter's niece.
Hmm.
And I mean, kasi diba in the comics she does play a bigger role,
Yep.
being Steve's wife at some point,
Yeah.
and all of those things. But it's nice that they're putting that kind of trajectory with Sharon Carter's character, and I really do like Emily Van Camp after Revenge, especially. Well, that's the only other thing she's big, parang known for aside from Sharon Carter. But it's always nice to see her. Thoughts on the whole? It's super unfleshed out. I'm not fleshed out so well. The whole power broker story, like, oh, she just was revealed as a power broker, although marami ng like I guess clues in the beginning, but that was kind of like random na, hey Carly, I'm gonna shoot you because you found out my secret. And that's
She always
how it ends.
knew. Diba? She always
Yeah.
knew. They were in cahoots.
Yeah.
So yun, go Paula.
Yeah, with regards to the Sharon thing, because I was watching Endgame couple of months back, and part of the list, but they had like these whole holograms of the people who were part of the snap, and Sharon was one of them. So she could not have had built her empire in Madripoor if she was snapped. So it makes me think: is this really Sharon Carter, or is this
A scroll.
A scroll.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I want to believe kasi na it's not her. Like there's more to it. Like I think Marvel intended it this way na let's put her forward like this, but it's not really gonna be her in the background. Like I want to say there's more to it.
Yeah.
Which is why it's gonna lead into Secret Invasion, to Armor Wars, and Captain America 4, whatever. But kasi I'm fine with Sharon being the power broker, like fine. But I just don't like how they presented it that way. It felt too.
Yeah.
It was obvious, but you could have written it better.
Tsaka bakit, diba? Like, from her history, like, why did it turn out this way? How did she get the
hated
mantra
America.
power?
And now hearing from Paula na blip pala si ano, now it really doesn't make much sense now. So I want to believe there is really more to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see where they will go with this. Because a lot of people were surprised. Like, surprised but not surprised. Because the clues were there, but we didn't want to accept it. And surprised, it's there na. So I hope they flesh this out more in the future. In whatever direction they decide. Either it's season 2 or another movie.
And on that note, speaking of, I mean, that's a really great insight, Paula, na parang maybe she is a Skrull, and how many more Skrulls have they planted throughout the 10-year history of the MCU once they reveal the Secret Invasion? And that's gonna be like a super big event for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's something to ask or to look out for in the next few TV shows and films. So, yeah. Any other thoughts? Sharon Carter, Baron Zemo?
Joms has a lot of thoughts on Baron Zemo.
Well, Baron Zemo was great.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Well, I guess the way they handled his character for Civil War was the way the movie needed it to be.
Yeah.
I think he was done quite well there. But of course, that comic book nerd in me wanted to see Baron Zemo in all his glory. And we got it in this show, which I don't think makes that much sense because his character feels very different from the movie. Like, where did his Sokovian, I love my family, I hate you all kind of, background go?
Melted in the prison.
There, but yeah, maybe he left it in prison. But I don't care because he was great. And I think he was able to provide that cog that both Bucky and Sam needed to take their stories forward. Zemo wasn't in this show to have his own story. Definitely not.
Yep.
He was there for fan service and to move the story forward, and he did that role really well. So absolutely amazing.
We will see.
He's gonna be back. He will be back.
I am sure of it.
We need more Daniel Brühl in our lives, I think.
Definitely. Thunderbolts. It's coming.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't care what anyone says. Episode 3 was my favorite. Dancing Zemo was the best.
Dancing Zemo.
Dancing Zemo was great.
I love that discussion in 5, the speech in 6, but nothing's gonna beat Dancing Zemo. I'm sorry. I will not change my mind.
It's the Agatha all along of Falcon.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's much more to be told, I feel, and they're just leaving all these like seeds for potential growth in the years to come, and that's what's also really nice. Na it's really kind of playing out, kind of like in a comic universe where you can just pull everyone out when you need them to, and they can play their role in it, and then they're gonna have their own thing. And the passing of the mantle is also a great way for the MCU to continue to evolve in the next few years. Kasi parang it's like, okay, superhero, so many things, but how much more can we take when you don't change it up like this, right?
Yeah.
Yun. What other things can we discuss about the show that we have not discussed yet?
I love Batroc. I love that he's just become a staple villain in the Captain America series. He's so good. Dead. I hope he's not dead. I just want him to be in every Captain America movie.
I'm such a big fan of GSP as like an MMA fighter.
Exactly.
He's such a nice guy, and then he's makes such a good like evil villain. God, I really hope he's not dead because he didn't even get the leap. He didn't get the leap.
I know. Yeah.
And every time I see his name in the art, I'm just like, oh man, it's him, the leper. I mean, the leaper. It's hard to
the leper.
Wow, he'd be a great villain if he was the leper.
I know. I always get confused, but yeah, I hope. He had such a bad death. I really hope that's not the way he
You know,
Yeah, I
dies.
yeah,
know.
same.
But it's funny because Batroc in the comics is such a lame villain, and
I know.
he's
So lame.
presented
He's so
so
lame, yeah.
well in the Captain America series.
With his
It's
big
great.
mustache.
Yes.
Ayan.
Ayun. And I guess if there's nothing else we want to discuss, final question is, how do we relate this to our lives? I guess in our context. Kasi parang this is so American. Parang there's such an American, obviously it's a Captain America story, but you know, in these times, like what can we take from this na that's such a big question, but what can we take from this, especially now in this world that we live in? And I mean,
Very
it's
Miss
kinda hard.
Universe question.
It's kind of hard to
Wow.
answer
Hirap.
straight off the bat. So we will just leave that as a question to ponder on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I need beer to answer this question.
I have a slight comment with that, though. I think it goes to the question of who makes decisions for us.
Mhm.
I guess, oh man, if you get me talking about international law, we're not gonna end. But it talks about like who are the people who make the decisions that run our lives. These are people who are very detached, who gets a seat at the table. We have a lot of different, let's say, international treaties, conventions that supposedly protect the rights, but are they actually doing that? Whose rights are they protecting? So it goes into a lot of those questions. And I think that was one of the most interesting parts of Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me. It does bring up that question, like, does it mean that now that Sam is is Captain America, does that mean that more people will get a seat at the table, or will nothing change? Will he just be a symbol? So I think those are things that they can delve into in the future episodes. And another thing I also, on a more personal note, another thing I really appreciated was also the emphasis on mental health,
Yes.
especially for
Yep.
Buck. Although for me, from what I really wanted in the finale was I kind of wanted Bucky to have one last session with his therapist, just
Yeah, I agree.
Same.
Yeah.
That would be
Same.
nice.
For
Yeah.
closure, yeah.
because he just like left a gift for her, left the book, which was
Yeah.
nice. But then like, dude, you need to talk about everything that happened.
We need to
Yeah.
process this, man.
Like, I have a
Even if you-
family now.
Yeah, even if you were with Sam, like that doesn't count as post processing with your therapist.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
kind of hope that Bucky goes back to therapy.
I hope they all go to therapy.
Yeah, I think they all
Actually,
my hope.
Wanda needs to go to therapy.
Wanda
the most.
Oh, yeah.
definitely needs to go to therapy.
Someone take her, please.
Does her doctor realize that she has a relic right now? She has Steve's notebook.
I know, right? I can't believe Bucky just gave it nga. Eh.
Yeah, we put it in the Smithsonian or something.
Nandun lahat ng mga
Steve's
pop
notebook.
recommendations.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Trek.
Yeah, Thai food.
But he has read The Hobbit when it was first released.
Yeah.
I quickly double checked
That was
if
so
it was
sick.
true. And
Yeah.
it's true.
It's funny because like in fan fiction universe, that's a very well stated fact na The Hobbit came out during their time. So it's funny to me na like they put that in the actual universe, something that was
So
very
cool.
ingrained in it.
It'd be cool if they like met Tolkien.
Ooh, what if?
What if?
What if Sharon did? What if
Sharon.
That's what made her
Peggy,
evil. That's what made her evil.
Peggy, Raddy, Peggy. What if Peggy did? What if? What if they'll address that?
In
in
what
what
if?
that
Maybe
is-
in what if.
if? Well,
That
maybe
would
in what
be-
if.
That'd be such a strange thing. Like, can you
What if
imagine
Peggy met
being at,
Tolkien?
being at the pitch meeting? Like, what if? they met Tolkien?
Weird.
But I guess what Cholo said, how does this relate? I guess what really resonated with me talaga was Bucky's explanation in episode 5 is how he never realized what repercussions it would be to give the shield to a black man. I guess I really relate that because I am white also. Like I never realized how, because all I was picturing in my mind was why Sam, not Bucky, but I never realized the racial issues that go behind that. And I really appreciated na they addressed this. Bucky in a very good conversation, hindi
So
it wasn't
So
fiery, it wasn't heated. Na he understands it. Now he really thought about it, really processed. And he also brought it up with Steve. And even that kahit na pag-usapan nila, Bucky is still thinking about it, especially until now. So seeing na, I hope a lot of people like me na are on a place of privilege, whether it's because of they're standing in life, whether the color of your skin, na understand na some people have it differently,
Yeah.
and yeah, they are trying to make a difference then, but sometimes it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
But that privilege really has different faces, and I hope people realize that. That's something I try to face every day. Na there are some people who are not as lucky, whether it's because they're displaced by the blip, or it's the same problems that has been going back years before, like Isaiah Bradley. Like he's gone through so much,
Yeah.
and thanks to Sam, he's finally getting the justice the respect and recognition that he deserves.
I do
The
hope.
OC erasure
Yeah.
was a very subtle but I think important mention then in this series. There's even in like real America, there's so much that POCs and Black people in particular have contributed to their society that so many people don't know about.
Yeah.
The same thing with us. Like I think there's so many people who are like whose stories haven't been told and have been like abused or like oppressed by people of power. That's definitely something to think about then on our end. Was it just me though, or is like Isaiah Bradley's exhibit in the Captain America Museum kind of like at the far back? It
Yeah.
seemed like they traveled quite a lot before they got
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah.
you know, that was just
The rest of the
Awesome
exhibit
scene,
was
though.
already.
That was
Pinarush
awesome.
kasi ni Sam. Okay, like, "Hey, can you guys do this like quickly?" Like, oh,
wala na space dun sa layout. Teka lang.
chop chop, let's go.
But yeah,
I'm Captain America now. Yeah.
it was great. Oh, that was such a nice scene though when he first like
It's
said
so
that
nice.
When
I'm
he said
Captain
it, yeah.
America. It was a good catharsis.
Great.
Yeah.
That was really great.
It's nice because like one of the lines he says in the speech is that like our people have fought and bled for this country, and I'm not gonna let anyone tell me that I can't fight for it all of a sudden. And it's such a like it sounds so absurd, you know? Like it sounds like why aren't they allowed to do it? But it's like this absurd reality that they have to live with every day, and they do such a good job. Well, Isaiah Bradley particularly, who by the way voices like a lot of superheroes. It's cool that they got him. He voices like Martian
Manhunter, yes,
Yeah,
Oh
just
no way! That's so
Oh,
cool. I
yes.
didn't know that.
yes.
so many like little things that he's done. So it's cool that he finally gets to like be on screen and he gets to be like the first like Black super soldier. That's such a cool thing.
Great
I hope he
honor.
comes back. I hope he gets like this like a badass scene where he gets to like fight because he still has the
I
powers,
wa-
right?
You know,
I
instead
want
of old man Steve, we could have old man Isaiah. I'm down.
Yeah,
I was
exactly.
hoping for a flashback talaga. That would
What if
be
he has
so
like
awesome.
a uniform that he wore when he would go on missions, right? Oh, so cool. Yeah, that's a really cool thing that they added too. That I really it's like I don't think a lot of people would have thought of that. So it's cool that they put it in.
Definitely, I feel like there's more to be told in that bubble of that world. So I hope we do get to explore that nga somewhat in like a spin-off series about young Isaiah Bradley or something like that. Or I mean, they are planting the seeds na rin talaga for the young Avengers as
Oh,
well.
Taurus.
What's his
So
name?
hot.
He's gonna be
I knew it.
So hot.
what's he gonna be?
Hey, nako.
The new
He's gonna be the new
Falcon. He's gonna
New
be the new
Falcon,
Falcon.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Sam gave him the wings, I was like, oh, yay.
Keep it. I was like, damn!
No doubt I will.
Exciting.
Hell yeah!
It's because he had a new. Did you guys see that that meme of the present that the Wakandans give Falcon is the Buzz Lightyear's
Buzz Lightyear's arm.
And, yeah, Bucky gets Buzz Lightyear's arm.
I love all of the
It has laser.
Pixar. I know.
Yeah.
It's good. Oh, I think like something they could have done that would have meant a lot more to fans, I think, was Bucky saying, let's hear it for Captain America for Sam, the same way that he did for Steve. I really wanted that. But I mean, it was nice din naman how they handled it.
Yeah.
But
Because
yeah.
he didn't want to take it away from him. That was Sam's time.
Yeah.
And I also like it
Okay.
na it was very Sam because that was his job. He helped people. He talked to
Yeah.
people.
He mediated.
And that was
Mrs. Forte.
And I was talking with my barkada who was saying, why bakit si Sam na he's not a super soldier ganun. But the thing is that's his thing the way that he can talk to people and make a
That's
difference.
his superpower.
That's what makes him so special. He can change the life of one person who's been through so much. Now he's gonna try and save the world because of his speaking, especially from where he's come from what he's been through. So that's what cements Sam as Captain America talaga.
Yeah.
He's really meant for it talaga.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it.
I love Black Falcon.
especially
just as a
that part in the
concept.
speech where
Black Falcon
Yeah.
is just so funny to me.
Yun,
Yes, Cholo.
yung sa speech lang din na parang, what do you know about, going back, na parang, what do you know about what people are experiencing and making the laws for them? It's just really, that part was really powerful na
Yeah.
bouncing back to what Sel said about who makes the decisions for us.
Mhm.
It's just a really powerful thing about that. Ayun, I mean, at the end of it, they do change the name of the show to
So good.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which kind of makes it confusing to Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and Captain America and the Winter Soldier, which is also cool. But what else do we want to see from the show in the next season, which we will probably get sometime, we just don't know when.
Yeah, they submitted it for a best drama series
I
Emmy
guess I'll just
rather
start,
than
parang, of course,
A limited
really
series.
see-
yeah.
Interesting.
We'll probably see Captain America 4 before season 2.
Yes.
Yeah, most likely.
see
Yeah. Although I
Cholo?
think what's exciting is we're seeing a really different phase 4 for Marvel moving forward.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of ideas and the heroes that they're presenting, but in terms of ideologies and messages, given that Marvel is such a powerful brand moving forward. And we're seeing this with Falcon being the new Captain America. And then we have Shang-Chi with Asian representation for us, finally, which is great. And the Eternals is such a diverse cast.
I mean, we have
it's really
Widow for Asian representation, right?
Damn it, nauna ako ni Cholo. Damn
Every
it.
single time we mention Scarlett Johansson, you never fail to make an Asian joke.
Oh, nga, no? Scarlett pala is in Black Widow. So there you go. So yeah, very, very interesting way forward for Marvel. I'm really excited where they take it. A very different Marvel, but that's a good thing.
Yep. It's gonna be really nice to see when they all come together again, and this is a new era of seeing like a new generation, including the older heroes. Anyone else?
Yeah, I want to see what the new season, if it is true na talaga na it's a new season, what will the story be about now? Because probably Captain America 4 will come first, and then the other series will happen, which will, in a way, relate now to what the first season has already laid down.
Yeah.
So I'm interested. What other stories can you tell now for Sam as Captain America, and for Bucky, who will he forever be known as the Winter Soldier? Is it maybe they should now to focus on Bucky, where he stands right now in the present time, because he's really a man out of time talaga, completely, and I don't think he's completely adjusted yet the way Steve was when he.
I don't even think Steve was like completely adjusted also.
So now I hope we get to see more of Bucky.
Yeah.
And of course we want to see more of Sebastian Stan.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Anything else?
I'm interested to see how long they can keep this up. And I don't mean that like in a mean way, but just from a filmmaking perspective, I can't think of another franchise that has this many movies in it that like they all connect. It's not just like spin-offs of each other, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Shake, Rattle, and Roll, but yeah.
Good point. Yung pala, yun yung kalaban ng Marvel eh. Shake, Rattle, and Roll. No, but yeah, like how long can they keep this up? Like thematically speaking, how many years will this span? It's crazy to me because
Kevin Feige's a beast.
they have an unlimited amount of content, right? The comics come out faster than the movies do. So can he keep like? Well, is it possible to keep up? But also, like, can they stay relevant, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, are there enough heroes? Like, of course there are enough heroes. Of course, the odds can always become bigger. You can have these smaller stories. Like, it doesn't always have to be like, Captain Marvel levels of danger. But can you make it so that people don't get tired and that you're always listening to the audience? Will what the audience is asking for always coincide with what you're making? because that's the only way for you to stay relevant, Mr. Feige. If you're listening, I know you are.
Yes.
I know he listens to this podcast. That's we're
Hello,
technically, if you think about it, we're responsible for the MCU, but I
Word.
won't get into that. So yeah, it's really interesting to me, and I think this is a good testament that like, okay, they can still keep up, but how long can they?
I mean, people are already experiencing superhero fatigue.
Definitely,
So
yeah.
it's definitely
Yeah.
a challenge for them.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah. Stel, any last thoughts?
I think going with what Dren was saying, that are people gonna get tired? I think there's also going to be the question of how accessible is it for new viewers? Because if everything is connected, it's like what Dren was saying earlier, that watching the first he didn't watch the first Avenger, so he didn't know who Bucky was. I think there are going to be more moments like that
Yeah.
for future shows. Like,
Definitely.
everyone gonna have to backwatch everything, or of
Yes.
course, especially like kids growing up that can watch like the stuff that they couldn't watch when they were younger. So I do wonder, like, how is it going to be a bit more accessible to new viewers, and how is it still going to be interesting to old viewers? So there's going to be like that tension between their new content. But so far so good. But as Dren was saying, let's see where it goes.
Yep. Agree.
Yep. It's just gonna be like, I know, it's gonna be like required watch for your children. Hey, watch the whole.
Yeah. You have to watch this.
All right, kids, this is our history class for today. Brings in a flat screen TV. Wow.
Brings in. Wala sa classroom nila yung flat screen.
Exactly. They watch things on like the VR headset. Na kasi, wow,
Oh,
that
nice.
still exists.
Wow.
They bring out a USB and it has like Winter Soldier on it.
Na-pirated pa.
Oh, you didn't watch episode 5? Well, whose fault's that?
Yeah.
But I mean, and we all experience Star Wars fatigue every now and then. I think Star Wars does a good job with that, with their series.
True.
You don't necessarily have to watch the movies to completely understand the stories. So hopefully that's a route that they can go, like these individual stories also. Would be
There's
nice.
Star Wars fatigue? Where?
Joms, you are currently in Marvel mode, diba?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
I like how you have modes. Like there's a dial on your back.
Yeah.
He
I have
does.
modes. I can't do it at the same time. Like
It's
Marvel,
frustrating
I
when
have
I'm
to
trying to get him to like watch this. It's like can't. I'm in Star Wars mode.
Yeah, I'm in Star Wars mode and now in Marvel mode. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep Bad Batch until I get back to Star Wars mode. I'm like that. I'm sorry. I'm weird.
But I mean, it was really nice that we had a year off before this whole start. This
It's
whole
true.
new
Yes.
phase started. It was kind of refreshing. Na parang,
was.
oh, we didn't even really notice it until like, oh wait, it's been a year since we had any.
This Black Widow kept being pushed back, which hurt.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a really good question by everyone about how much farther can this go. Yeah, but we'll have to see. And yun, we'll be seeing next is Loki in June and Black Widow in July and Shang-Chi in September and Spider-Man in December, I think.
Eternals in
yeah.
November.
Yeah. Eternals in November.
Tuloy pa rin
Spider-Man.
ako
Chloe
November,
Zhao.
September.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a month. There's
And I
just a
think
month.
we also have Miss Marvel this year.
Oh my god.
I think they're pushing it back.
Oh,
Kasi
they
parang puno na yung schedule. Like,
So
every
much
month.
content.
Oo.
I
Oo
know.
nga, may. Parang sunod-sunod.
Only
For
Bumabawi.
the lost
Give
year.
Bumabawi.
Yeah.
Give it to me. I will consume.
That's true.
The only other thing I'm waiting in universe is the Vice Ganda cinematic universe, as we mentioned last time with Gren.
Watch out, Kevin Feige.
Watch out, Kevin Feige.
I
Olivia,
would watch that though. And it's just all Vice Gandas fighting each other, I think.
Could you imagine how much work that would take? Like, all right, day one, you're gonna play this role. You just have to punch there. Okay, day two, you remember how you punch? You have to get punched in that way.
I don't know. I would watch it.
Last time we talked about this gave me a headache. Please don't do it again.
Or we just get like Daniel Padilla and Co to just wear like wigs to be Vice Ganda.
What?
We just CG her face onto. I don't know.
That's
I'm just
terrifying. I have done that with a child. It's not a fun thing to do.
Oh no. Okay. I'm
Or
sorry.
maybe like as an animated Vice Ganda.
I think that's scarier. Why do I think that's scarier?
Because Vice can just like, voice over the other Vices in the Vice
I can't
universe.
believe we're talking about this.
Like, what happened to this conversation?
I'm so sorry. I'll stop.
Vice Ganda and the
Cholo.
Multiverse.
I'll message you later, Cholo. Don't worry about it.
All right, so that brings us to the end of the show, which is our pop stop, which is our pop culture recommendations for the week. I will start. I've been watching this.
Sorry.
I will start, and I've been watching this Thai BL series called "I Told Sunset About You." And hello. Sorry,
Cholo.
naputol yata ulit ako.
No. We
Go
hear
lang.
you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
You're fine.
Okay, ayun. Yeah. It's not necessarily just BL, but also like coming of age story, which I think is really refreshing in this world where BLs are just tokenistic ways of portraying LGBT, quote unquote LGBT struggles, etc., etc. This was a nice way of portraying that, and it's produced really well. So it's just 5 episodes. So if you have the chance, check I Told Sunset About You out. So that's my recommendation for the week. Who wants to go next?
I can go next. They recently released, for English viewers, the Demon Slayer movie, the Mugen Train film. I had the pleasure of watching it last night to replace my normal Marvel night, and I think the series, because it's very shallow in its whole. It's not that great like of a story, but it's a good watch. But Mugen Train, I think, brings up the story and the lore of the world of Demon Slayer up by like 100%, and it's such a good animation, and it became the highest grossing film in Japan, and for good reason, during a pandemic, and it still being the highest grossing film ever in Japan's history. It says a lot about how good the show is and how accessible it is also for even non-anime fans to watch. So there's that. And then I would also like to recommend a YouTuber that I recently just discovered. I love video essays, particularly video essays about film scores and music in general. So I do recommend people to watch or to subscribe to Listening In. That's his channel name on YouTube. The episode, of course, that got me into him was his explanation of why Prisoner of Azkaban sounds so good. We all talk about how good Prisoner of Azkaban is as a story, as a directed film, but the score and John Williams' talent really lends a lot to why that film is so great. So that's good. He also discusses Lord of the Rings in a trilogy series, which is so good, and Star Wars. So generally, I think if you're like a film fan and want to understand music more, because admittedly that's not my strongest suit in like film dissection, it's a really, really entertaining watch. So I recommend him, and Sideways if you're interested in that type.
Sideways is so good.
Listening in, I'm just subscribing right now.
Yay! Thanks.
No, because I love learning about film scores.
Diba?
I am right now.
I will send you like a list. Ang dami kong recently na discover na score related na video essayists, but he better than Sideways jumps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm subscribed. Thank you, Paula.
That's me.
Oh, I'll add another one pala before the next person. I just remembered, I want to recommend also on YouTube. It's K-pop Evolution.
Yes.
It's a cool way to understand the history.
Yes. Sorry.
And seeing like where they came from, how they evolved into what it is now. I'm not done yet because the rollout for the free version is still ongoing. But yeah, it's a cool way to understand the K-pop industry, and not just know a certain group, and just appreciate it on a deeper level, industry level as well, and like what idols go through to become the idols that they are. Yeah, so that's K-pop Evolution also on YouTube. Prince?
Honestly, I have been on a pop culture detox because I'm still really drained from the Oscars catch up. Because I really needed I need a long break. It might be a while before I get back into the pop culture groove, but I will keep updating about the news.
Yeah, the news is great, Prince. Thank you.
We're a news correspondent.
But I would speaking of the Oscars, I really hope people get to watch the short films that were nominated because they were really good. especially that relate to Winter Soldier and Falcon. There's two. One is White Eye, which is a Israeli short film which discusses about privilege and how, and it discusses it in one full take. It's all shot in one take, which is really good. And another one is Opera, an animated film. It's just 8 minutes, also in one take, but it tells an entire story of how a system works, how people fight against it, but in the end, does anything really change? But so I was amazed by those two. I'm sad they lost, but they're just short watches, but they're pretty good, amazing. What I will recommend, I guess the only pop culture that I have consumed is watching my friends play Apex Legends on Discord, and I don't play, but watching them, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
To the point that I recognize their characters, their ults, the weapon choices, and they call me their coach because I'm able to call out the moves that they're supposed to be doing.
Cute.
I'm such a good non-player who is so familiar with the game. So I don't watch any of the other games they play. Whenever they play Valorant, whenever they play ML, whenever they play Breath of the Wild, I don't watch them. But when they play Apex, I watch them. It's so much fun. So go play it, guys. Even if you're not gonna play it, watch your friends play. It's actually so much fun.
I sing it lang ako. Itzy's new song. It's great.
Oh my god.
Yeah, in the morning. It's so good. As a non-K-pop stan.
If you didn't mention, I was gonna mention. Don't worry.
I guess Dren.
Yeah, no, I was gonna start with ITZY, Mafia in the Morning.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's like if JYP tried to make a Blackpink song.
Yes.
Which is really interesting because ITZY. Okay, I'm not gonna get too much into it because if I start talking about K-pop, I'll never stop. But just the idea that like ITZY was made to be an international group is so interesting. It really marks kind of the new generation in K-pop.
Yeah.
They're not made to just be a Korean group, and now they're kind of making a song that you could see Nicki Minaj like featuring on. It's that kind of song.
Someone edited that in a Nicki Minaj verse.
Some people don't like it. I love it because even though you don't like it musically, in terms of their formation, I think it's really important, right? Because it still sounds like ITZY.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. I wish they give Cherry on more stuff. I won't get into all of the details. But my recommendations, like I've been recently listening to a lot of podcasts, and Joe Rogan has a podcast that he's been doing for like 10 years. And I recently listened to his episode with a man named Daryl Davis. And he is a black jazz musician who was personally converted over 200 KKK members into giving him their uniform. Because he just talks to them and just says like, look, black people aren't evil. And it's such an interesting podcast, and I think it's really relevant to what we talked about. So he's such an interesting guy. He's got a voice like gravel, explains the whole jazz musician thing, and it's really pleasant to listen to. Because I think Joe Rogan's also a very good host. So there's that. I'll recommend 3 different, 1 movie and 2 series. One is Mortal Kombat.
Oh my god.
Because it's just...
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead.
It's okay. This is your first episode. Now you know you gotta go first, so your recommendations go.
Damn it.
So.
I was literally thinking while you guys were talking.
So not Mortal Kombat, no. But yeah, Mortal Kombat, it's awesome. A lot of the actors have signed on for multiple films because it's great. If you guys like The Raid, one of the actors from The Raid is in it. And he's amazing as Sub-Zero. The plot is whatever. You know what I mean? Like
it's not what you're watching it for.
Yeah, definitely. You're not watching for the story.
Yeah, and I feel like in a lot of ways, the studio, when I watched the film, I thought to myself, this is just a litmus test for them. They didn't put that much violence. They didn't put that much. They put just enough to please the fans.
They didn't put that much violence in that scene where someone splits another person open, dude.
Well, yeah, okay.
Flawless victory.
But like in terms, I thought there would be more. So I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do for the next 4 movies, because apparently
it sets up a game also. They're releasing a new game because of it.
Yeah. So I'm very, very, very excited to see. It's cool. That's all I'll say. It's cool. If you don't mind the plot being whatever, then it's just fun. Also,
yeah,
oh
just
my
to
gosh.
add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I guess just, you know what? Like, it's fine to have brainless fun every so often. Like, even Godzilla versus Kong was that fun to watch, even though the plot was whatever. So like,
Who cares?
I saw this review like the human characters are. That's not. It's called Godzilla versus Kong, not Godzilla versus humans. Like, why do you care about
yun na
did
nga.
it-
So
yeah.
yeah, Mortal Kombat was just really fun, and Paula was also mentioned. We were talking about that brainless fun thing. Go ahead. Ben. Sorry.
I'm not sure. I think I recommended this last time, but did I recommend Warrior last time? Did I talk about this?
Yeah.
I did, right? Okay.
From
Never mind.
Cinemax,
So I'll recommend one more series. It's great. I finished season 2. It's awesome. But I'll recommend the other thing I want to recommend. I don't know why this hasn't been getting a lot of buzz. Perhaps because of the Demon Slayer movie. But the new Shaman King anime is out. The 2021.
Really?
Yeah, the 2021 version
Oh
is out.
God, is it good?
It's good. Yeah, it's really good. I think because the problem with the first series for me, in some ways, is the start is really slow. The
Yeah.
first episode of this new Shaman King compresses like the first 5 episodes of the
Okay.
old Shaman King. Because I
Okay.
think they know that it's just like people wanting to like the nostalgia. So they're just like, let's just get all this stuff out of the way and let's move on. So I think it's like 5-6 episodes now, and yeah, it's great. Animation's good. It's awesome. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
Let's save jumps for last.
Okay, I guess I can go next.
I'm
I
sweating
think
here.
I've talked about this in the show before, but I'm a big fan of Ali and AJ, and they're releasing their first album in 14 years next week. Yeah, it has a really, really long title, and I had to Google it. It's called A Touch of the Beat, Gets You Up on Your Feet, Gets You Out and then Into the Sun. They released a couple of singles already. Pretty Places is really good, and so is Don't Need Nothing. And a few months back, they re-released Potential Breakup Song from their 2007
Yes.
album. And they made an explicit version, so they put the cussing that they censored out when they couldn't because of Disney Channel.
Adults now.
Yeah, so it's a great thing to listen to, like coming back to it after like 14 years from their last album. And I think aside from that, so I'm really, really excited for their album next week. And aside from that, I recommended this last time, but again, I'm pushing my Jujutsu Kaisen agenda.
Yes.
Yes.
Modern shonen I have watched, and they have a movie coming up, and I think it'll be either end of the year or early 2021. They're going to adapt Volume 0, which is a prequel to the main series. So those are only 4 chapters of manga. So if you want to check it out after watching the anime, it puts a lot of context, and it'll become really important in the plot later on. Joms?
Oh damn. Okay. Well, admittedly, I've been out of the loop in terms of pop culture these past weeks because work has been crazy. Apart from Falcon and Winter Soldier, which has taken up my Friday nights. But yeah, I guess spoiler alert. My recommendation would have been Mortal Kombat because it was exactly what I needed last weekend. Some just brainless fun, no
Yeah.
story, no anything. You just watch people kill each other, and it was absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait for the next one. I guess another recommendation, just so that I can add some value to the conversation, is if you're still itching for some Falcon and Winter Soldier merch, looking at Paula's shield back there, I recently ordered my own shield as well.
Yay!
Hasbro just came out with their own shield from the show, so it has the new design with the silver rimmings on the silver part and a new bluer tone. If you want to order one, join me and my plight in burning some cash, well-earned cash, to get some real good merch. So there,
It's worth it. Like
it's worth it. Like look at it, it's so nice.
It's so worth it. You can
Yeah.
use it for cosplay. Actually, just buy Marvel merch, guys. Like it's great. It's fun.
Great. Yeah, it's fun.
I have one more thing to say. I heard from critics In the Heights is nice.
We heard.
Ooh,
I hear.
Yes.
I haven't
You know
seen
what?
it, but I hear it's good.
It had to succeed.
Super
you know what I
excited
mean?
for that.
Lynn's involved. He wouldn't let it be bad. I have a lot of
I'm excited to watch it.
Same. I am really excited.
Would you say
Can't
that it
wait.
hit some great heights?
That's what the critics are
It's
saying.
pretty much it. It's in there in the heights.
It's
In
there.
the topic of like random news.
And that comes out when? June 21? Tama
June
ba?
21, yeah, June 21.
It's everyone's first time experiencing Joms' humor.
Sorry.
And I
hello.
always like the pause before people laugh at his joke.
Or just ignore. You know, after a while, you guys are just gonna pause and then moving on.
Yeah, anyway. Yeah, June. It comes out in June. So
Yes.
if listen to the Broadway
original
score.
Broadway,
Yeah.
original Broadway cast recording is one of the best out there.
Yes.
Sal is a huge
Sal.
fan.
It's like
And it's time
Feel about safe
to
Yes, Cholo.
time to shoot our shot and invite
And invite Lin Manuel.
yes, Lynn, if you are listening, and I know you are, I know you're a big fan of the podcast.
Anthony Ramos.
Yeah, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Come on.
Drop on down.
Yeah. Chris Jackson. If you're
Manuel is so curious to find out what current looks like.
well,
Yeah.
well, if you come on the podcast, this is my promise. If you come on the podcast, I will reveal myself just for you. Wow, big time. Sorry, I can't get out the joke. That sounds so full of
Can I
myself.
just say that my only flex in life is that if you Google Lin-Manuel Miranda, Manila Atlantis Productions, like my photo comes up.
Wow.
Atlantis. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah, if you search it, like apparently my photo with him comes up.
Atlantis.
It's you.
Told you.
I will search.
Oh.
Oh my gosh,
you
Sal,
do
you're so
You
cute!
do look so Star Trek. Same though, honestly.
Pwede bang mag-share screen para lang mapakita?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
grabe.
There she is!
I was part of like photos from this random like theater blog back then. I didn't know until like someone pointed it out to me later on.
That's amazing. You're part of Google.
History.
You are in Google.
Your picture with Lin Manuel is right there. Awesome.
Yeah, so I guess he has to
So
get.
let's make that happen.
Alright.
Um, and that is it for our popcorn for the week. Thank you so much to everyone for coming over for this Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode. And we will all see you next time for more popcorn. Of course, our previous episodes are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you stream your podcast. Of course, we're also radyo-katipunan 87.9 FM every week. Thanks to the RK fam. And yeah, we will see you all next time. Bye.
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 Annyeong.
This is your stop for all things pop. Catch our all-around pop culture geek, Cholo Sediaren, as he throws in some dose of what's poppin' and what's hot in the pop culture scene here on Popcorn. Munch in with us every Thursdays from 4 to 6, only here on Radyo Katipunan 87.9 FM.